If I say apple, you say apple, then we see apple in our head, right? We both see two different apples. If I look at this apple together, right? We look at it, we're still gonna see certain aspects of the apple. You're gonna see what you've been trained to see. So if you're told that, well, that apple is nasty on the inside, and you know what I mean? The apples will kill themselves. And this, that, so forth. You're like, damn. I was just watching the news the other day, and they just said a dude was in the car with his baby, and one of the dudes walked up and shot him. Now, does that happen all over Englewood all day?
Well, summer is officially underway, and it looks like it's going to be a violent one in parts of Chicago. Police are working to solve a number of shootings, and that number has been growing all morning.
Chicago police now confirm more than 50 people were shot in the city from Friday night through this morning. 8 of those people have died.
And a man was killed and at least 8 other people injured in shootings across Chicago since yesterday evening.
11 people have been shot, one a 3-year-old child.
2 teenagers have now been charged with murder in the drive-by shooting death of a 6-year-old girl. Unfortunately, hers is not the only violent death in Chicago this weekend. At least 7 people were killed, dozens more wounded by gunfire.
A violent weekend across the city of Chicago. There have been more than 30 shootings since Friday night.
Around with my blunt on my lips, with the sun in my eyes and my gun on my hip. Paranoia on my mind, got my mind on the fritz. But a lot of niggas dying, so my 9 with the shits. I've been riding around with my blunt on my lips, with the sun in my eyes and my gun on my hip. Paranoia on my mind, got my mind on the fritz. But a lot of niggas dying, so my 9 with the shits.
This area has a very interesting history. You know, the 63rd and Halsted corridor used to be one of the largest retail corridors in the area, second only to the Chicago Loop. It was occupied, and this area was occupied again by German and Irish, primarily immigrants, who put businesses together along that corridor, who solicited those businesses. Once there was a displacement because of the expressway and African Americans moved into the area, there was a flight, and with that flight went those businesses, and no real plan to replace that that commerce and that type of activity. So it left a gap.
The projects were from 35th Street to 55th Street, 20 blocks on State Street. Each block had 3 buildings. Each building is 20 stories, 20 floors. So that's what, 200,000 people living living the long thing, right, for years. Now they've been living there for 40 years. Their families. You take those buildings, you cut them down, and then you disperse these people all over the city. They don't know how to live like a community. They live in a building, in a prison, relatively, in a honeycomb almost in some aspects, where the bees working together and so forth. Now you disperse them all over the city. Now it takes away the sense of neighborhood. They don't care about Englewood. It's just a place that Section 8 put them at.
This area was targeted a lot of times with mortgage frauds and mortgage scams, or people who really couldn't afford the area, and so the housing market crashed. And then many people, the area got more violent and more criminal activity, so many people left the area. So I think if no one's here, houses are foreclosed. Next thing you know, X happens, no more, vacant lot. So I just think it's just been kind of a structural thing that's been going on in the city for a while, and just Englewood just was one of those areas that got hit really hard. It definitely is not just the violence that's the issue. It's just like with any situation, if you put someone in a cage, I mean, you're gonna morph them to be, accustomed to a cage. And so I think a lot of times for Englewood, people feel trapped in this cage of disinvestment then they become products of that environment.
People are left inside the box. If I take you and I put you in the box and I leave you there for 100 years, and I let you out the box, and what do I expect you to do? How could you do anything that's outside of that box?
A lot of people like to, focus on the violence, but it's a lot of structural things in place, just in general when it comes to African American community. So, I always say Englewood is not a special community that is, not experiencing what other African American communities are experiencing as well. I mean, unemployment is high, the education is poor, jobs are scarce. Business, it's all those things are factors that when people do not have these things, they get desperate and they take desperate measures. Not to say that as soon as you're down on your luck, you go to violence, but if a structure wasn't in place in your home in the first place due to other schooling and poverty and other things, it's not far-fetched for you to possibly commit a crime.
There are no jobs here, and we need to attract business to this community. We need to attract development, sustainable businesses that are going to look for employees that they can reach for in the community. We need to help train that workforce. But the problem is we need much, much more. Well, this area has one of the highest vacant land parcels in the city of Chicago. It has one of the highest unemployment rates in the city of Chicago. That means there's opportunity because there's land here and there are programs here that kind of give incentive to businesses to invest in this community. And we certainly have the workforce here, and a willing and eager workforce that needs to be trained. So we just got to marry the two and get the two together. Our focus is primarily right now on small business, and we want to help develop new businesses into the area. We want to attract new businesses into the area. We want to put together programs that develop businesses. So our focus is in those areas. This community desperately needs it, and not just us. There needs to be an effort across the board, in different areas. There's a growing farm entrepreneurial movement here in this community, and those are businesses, specific businesses dealing with agriculture and in a different type of clientele than most businesses. They are putting together a coalition and a set of programs to specifically focus on those type of businesses. So it won't be just us, and there's going to be a need for more effort than what we're just doing. So it's a start.
I live 1 block away. It's this mall. This mall has been sitting here empty for 2 years. It has 5 different parcels. I'm the first person to be a commercial residence in this unit, and we've been here for 4 years. We started out with 3 barbers. We were here like 3 of us for about 2.5 years, and now we're up to 8 barbers. We are 8, well, not 9, including myself, black men that work in one building together. We're not selling drugs, we're not doing anything illegal. We're all licensed, and we're servicing our community, giving them clinical service, making them look good, feel good, professional, not spreading any disease. And we give the young men an example to look up to. The deal is, kids have to see me here and see an example of somebody being positive, somebody being successful, and somebody doing the right thing in their community. Then they know they can do it. And then they'll come back and stay in their neighborhood. It's sad, but a lot of young men don't get the opportunity to see positive black men in their families. So really, a lot of little kids look up to us before they would look up to some of their family members, because they don't get an example, a positive example, a positive role model in the home. I can't say, beside church, where black men can congregate in this neighborhood and be at peace as we are here. It kind of becomes a safe haven, neutral ground, that you come in here, can't nobody come in here and mess with you. And there's every gang is represented in this place. Every gang is represented, Blackstone, Black Disciples, and Gangster Disciples. And nobody's in here gang banging and fighting and getting at each other about none of that. Every week, every 2 weeks when they come to the barbershop, they get a good conversation. They get to see some real men getting it in. We play the game. We, talk about issues, political issues, religion, the whole deal. It's the fact that young black men want to have somebody to respect. If you're respectable, if you're consistent. So everybody wants somebody to say something like, dude, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Because if I don't acknowledge that you're doing something stupid, you doing the right thing until I tell you until I tell you different. So I think it's where we've been forced to be that, and sometimes we don't want to take it on, but that's what we're here for. God knows best. Everything happens for a reason. That's why we're here.
Today, it don't exist like it did back in the days. See, back in the days, if you just wanted to get in a gang or do wrong, then that was your choice, because you had things, you had organizations, you had after-school programs that you can attend to that will help you stay off the streets. But back in the day, you had more of like a choice. It was a choice thing. Right now, what we see today is like a forced thing, because one of the things I see is that you don't have anything to do. And that's one of the main things that the youth always talk to me about. Brother Raymond, I don't have nothing to do. I don't have nowhere to go, so I'm just out here. And I can remember myself being in that same predicament. So I said to myself, I'm gonna build an organization that can help them go somewhere and do some things so that they don't have to stand on the streets. They don't have to gravitate to the drugs. That's why the Brothers Standing Together organization has came up with a format in order to help reduce some of the violence. Now, we know we won't stop all the violence, but we will at least give them an opportunity if they truly want to change their life. Brothers Standing Together was also formulated in 2009, but it didn't come into fruition until last year, because I had to find the people that would believe and get behind me, because I'm very passionate about what I do, and I need people to be as passionate as I am about it, because what you see is now that a lot of children, they don't want to know how much you know, they want to know how much you care. We have a staff of 12, and they always on call. So if they can't get in contact with me, they can get in contact with Brother Field. If not Brother Field, Brother A.J. If not Brother A.J., they can get in contact with Chris, and the list goes on. So it's never a number that you cannot get, because you're going to get one of us. And we try to always maintain that line to make sure it's open. So whether I check it or Chris check it or AJ checks it, it'll always be in check. And then you have our direct number as well. So if you can't get it through the hotline, you have our direct number. We have to take these children places. We have to do things. We have to teach them life-on-life terms, skills. A lot of times, a lot of young men can't even read. They can rap to the music, or they can see the money counted, but if you actually tell them to count it or read something, they can't even read it. So we're trying to change that, the literacy as well. We take them on educational events. We treat them out, like this past weekend we went to teen night that was in Seward Park, and it's showing them that you are not alone. Because a lot of people think that because you're on the west side, he's on the north side, you're south side, you're going through the same thing, and we're trying to show them. We're also trying to strengthen them. That's why we call it the leadership team, because we let them lead by example.
The leadership program was built around the curriculum of conflict resolution, mentoring, history, black history, gang violence, definitely education. They have to maintain at least be average. I've been around gangs, I've been around the whole drug scene, and for me to get through it and come from the same places basically that they're coming from, I feel like I can show them that it's something better than what they are around. Like, that's what I teach them, that you are more than what you are surrounded by. You can reach more than what's in front of your face, So that is the whole reason why I felt like I needed to be over here with these guys.
This program has helped me because it's given me an occupation, and the program has helped me deal with things that I will deal with in life, like life situations.
We also do conflict resolution. We teach them how to do a positive and a negative. We show them the outcomes. We teach them about violence prevention, life skills. So these are the things that we think is very important.
We give them real life scenarios. We put them in situations where we will act out as if a gang member was coming to them and asking them to be in the gang or persuading them and putting them in peer pressure situations. We do everything that we can to show them the realistic side of if you do, and we show them that everything that they do is a choice.
Man, we finna beat them. They wanna talk on our corner like it's sweet. They can't just stop anywhere, boy. They gotta move around, boy. Or we finna beat them. Hey, boy, y'all gotta move, sweaty. Y'all gotta move around, boy. Y'all can't be standing on our block like this. Boy.
No. Why you guys always have to touch us and like bother us?
Open us.
Why can't we just be cool? Why can't we just be cool?
I don't know. Y'all trying to be cool.
Can we just be cool?
Yeah, y'all just be cool.
It's good then.
They was standing on our block and they was just stopping for some reason. So we was finna go and move them physically if we had to beat them, but they ain't want no problem.
If it's a big crowd of people fighting or whatever, instead of running towards the crowd and like trying to see what's going on, you should walk away from it because you don't know what can happen in that crowd and someone's life might be taken away and it might be you.
I've learned that you just need to get away from the conflict and that you won't have any danger for life if you don't put people who has danger in their life to you.
We want them in the program. One thing we don't want them to do is be on them corners because once, idle mind is a devil's play shop and what they see becomes their reality. And for far long, growing up in these inner cities, that's become their reality. Standing on the corner, selling dope, shooting each other, robbing each other, killing innocent people.
I really appreciate Raymond since he been coming here because before he came, all we did was just nothing. We was bad, but when he came, he taught us how to be men.
That a really big part of what we're doing right now is because of Raymond and Marcus and one of the former people that were here. Because, like he said, all we used to do was play around, throw rocks at things, play football, tear things up, and then he showed us what we're doing was wrong. Like, we all had ideas about what we wanted to be in life, but we didn't do anything to, like, try to do it. We just thought that we had something to do.
We're trying to keep that from becoming a reality. So what we would do is reach out and get some tutors in order to help tutor them. Maybe it's in math, maybe it's in reading, maybe it's in science. That is the key to everything. Anything that you want to do in life, your education must come first. And once you complete your education, then you can do a lot of things that you always want to do in life. And I had to teach them that it's not that hard. And I use myself as a prime example. I share everything. I let them know I was sexually abused, I was homeless, I was strung out, I've been incarcerated 20 plus years of my life, and I joined the gang and all that. I let them know everything. I try not to hold nothing back from them, because the more confident they feel, the more they open up, and then the more we get to the bottom of what's really going on with this individual.
Raymond and Marcus, they always try to go the extra effort to take us places and see the world.
Raymond and Marcus they're great. They lead by example. They great leaders, and they teach us everything we need to know for life.
We all need help. Everybody needs some help, and if we're there to help them, then we need, when they say community, some people label communities. Community is the city of Chicago, because all over this community is some help being needed. And we're trying to let them know, you're no different than the young man out west, you're no different than the young man out south, you're no different than the young man up north. But together, we can make a difference. But the choice is up to you.
Sir.
One y'all pull the circle?
Cause love travels faster than the circle. And can't nobody break our train, please.
That's why we lay hands.
Nobody break our train.
Everyone has choices, and that's the most important thing to me, that I showed them that they have the choice to join their gang, or they have the choice to come here and learn and save their lives. You have the choice to save a life, or you have the choice to ruin yours. So that's very important. That's the most important thing that we try to show them. Choices is the biggest thing in life, having a choice, so, and a voice.
Kids need something to do. They need structure. They need guidance. They want to be here. Like I said, they want to be here. All children want structure, and we don't baby the children. I'm not your nanny. I'm not your sitter. I'm Coach Wilson, and you're here because you want to be here. So if you want to be here, I'm going to teach you everything that I can teach you about this sport and about being a man. It started in 2006. From 2006, my son and one of his best friends, Devon Robinson, was, I think, in second grade, and they needed something to do. Basically, that was it. They needed something to do. Summertime was coming, and we couldn't go to Jackie Robinson West. That was the Little League program that's renowned. It was too far. That was on like 106 in Halstead. That was too far for us, and plus we in Englewood, so we didn't have the money. So what I did is gather the kids in his classroom, and we formed a little baseball thing. And then the following year, 2007, when we officially opened up with Little League and with Skyline Youth Athletic Association, because we was planning on doing more than baseball. But baseball is our bread and butter. We get most kids out because we have them for 7 to 8 months out of the year. So that's what we're doing now. And last year was the first year we got a lot of children. We didn't have the resources for all the kids. It was unfortunately, that's why this year we started early with donations and recruiting sponsors. And as you see, we have a nice group of kids in there now. And that's most of them is 12 and under. And we have another group from 13 to 15, which is their continuation from what we had. So we should have roughly about 200 to 300 kids, I'm imagining, this year. I feel that I can help. I really feel that, and I'm giving all I can to my community. This is where I live. I want to feel safe here, and I want the kids to feel loved here and let them know that we do love you.
I'm an acronym person, so I tried to think of something that made sense as far as an acronym. So it was residents, it's an association, Greater Englewood, which is Englewood and West Englewood together, and R.A.G.E was born, and it's been that ever since. When we first got started back in 2010, people went ballistic about the name R.A.G.E. They hated it. They thought it was the most, I guess, angry notation that they could think of for a group coming out of Englewood. But it really do stand for the Resident Association of Greater Englewood. Our activities, our philosophy, our state of mind, constantly giving people another truth about this community, constantly feeling proud about the area, constantly talking about the good things. People, they caught on to that. They liked that. They felt comfortable with that. And they wanted to be a part of this.
I just wanted to be a part of something. I want to give something back. The skills that I learned and all of the qualities that I have, I wanted to be able to give something back to my community where I grew up at. So being a part of R.A.G.E, volunteering, and being active in the community, meeting people, letting people meet me, who is that? Who is that? That's Patricia,
One thing that R.A.G.E do very well is really acknowledge assets and the passion within people, and that's the way that we have been able to organize and stay strong with very little funds. The biggest thing I have to do to really move this forward is say, what do you like to do? Don't worry about the programs and things we're trying to do. What do you like? And let's see how that fits into what we're already working on. And that's been a really successful model. The big major projects that we are working on currently, economic development is one, and then also civic engagement and empowerment. which is probably the heartbeat of R.A.G.E. I mean, I think if we don't do anything else, we're always looking to activate more residents on the block, giving them information, letting them know issues that impact them, and not in a way that, you know, hey, let's service you and, you know, keep you down. More like, hey, let's empower you. Come to Toastmasters, be a part of R.A.G.E., go to a council meeting and speak out, volunteer at your school. Like, give things that empower them, because I think if we're more empowered, we can definitely take more action within the community.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on the Englewood Call.
I'm Rashana Baldwin.
And my name is Sonia Harper. You are watching a live, interactive call-in show.
Us converting our newsletter to be a TV show is very exciting. For us, some things are intangible, so we want to help shift perceptions. And so if they see residents who from in the community, love the community, not your typical stereotype of what an Englewood resident is, I think people embrace that. And so the show is exactly that. We've always been a group that disseminated information about the community, but now we're able to do it kind of in a more live call-in interaction type of point of view. So that's been really fun, and it also empowers our members who may not be used to TV, who may not be used to being on camera, to get them talking and to feel like the Englewood experts they are. And so it's been and just really doing it in a way that's not boring and you just sit and watch a call-in show. You know, we add the video and the pictures, and you know, we've tricked it out the way we wanted it to be tricked out.
Now, every week we want to bring you the latest news from Englewood that you won't get in mainstream news media, right? They will tell you what's wrong with Greater Englewood, but we're going to tell you what's right and what we are doing as a community to kind of work things better. Oh, we're going to take a little break from our news because it looks like we do have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. What's your comment or question?
Good evening, ladies. I understand the Hamilton Park field house, it has been turned into a cultural center. If that's so, I think that's a wonderful thing, because if you look in neighborhoods where they do have arts all around in their community, guess what? They have a little bit less violence. And that's one of the things I've been saying for the longest. We need to have more arts in our community, in the schools, in you know, all around in the neighborhood. We need to have more art so people have a way to express themselves.
I see R.A.G.E. as constantly being the platform for community dialogue, the portal to build assets together and to continue that. I also see us being the catalyst of change in terms of shifting people's mindsets about the area in which they live in. That will always be our underlying reason why we do work. We know that if we can activate more people on their blocks, that eventually will impact the whole neighborhood.
We will all do it together. And when we're done, this will be what represents what they want this to represent.
The mission, in short, is for us to combat the effects of poverty and trauma through utilizing yoga, urban farming, and arts and culture programs. And so right now we're standing in front of what we're going to open up to be a home. Essentially, we're going to have programs that run out of the home, life skills programs, urban farm. The land across the street will be an urban farm, and potentially the one behind us. And we'll have after school programs, just give the community a place to come. We're also is going to kind of be like a quasi community type space where we may have sewing going in for the elders, just a safe place for everyone that belongs to this community to come and be a part of.
Tamika wants to hold community meetings and say, what do you want? How do you want to make your community bigger and better? And we said, you know what, we're going to be organic. If you say setting up a butterfly garden is going to do it, you know what, then how do we do it and how do you want to design it? We have no intentions of being the one to do the work in the house or do the decorating or whatever. I mean, this community will do that.
What this space will be, again, will be a place for the community to connect. Look around, you see the youth, you see the boys. Well, they need a place to come. right? We'll have mentoring programs for them. We'll have the urban farm, which will attach to an apprenticeship program, where we're allowing them to learn a skill, which will eventually translate into them earning money, income, something again that they will need and use. We'll have cooking classes, culinary classes, and that goes back to the urban farming piece. The yoga, we'll have yoga programs for the youth, for the elders, for the parents. We'll have parent programs as well. We're not going to teach parents how to be parents, but we'll help them get the confidence that they need to talk to their kids, talk to their youth. It's hard sometimes to understand exactly what their children are going through, because they're going through things. We want to give them a safe space to come and just be themselves.
The big thing that we're doing, regardless of what the programming is that we really want to connect. So we pick those programs because we want people to be able to connect to themselves, to their families and communities, and to the earth. And that's what we want to support, because if you can first connect to something, right, then you belong. And if you belong, you start to change your life, right? You start to find peace, you start to find love. You belong to something. And so really what we are going to do with this house is we're going to connect.
I think the vision would be looking around right now, looking around and seeing what you see. 5 years from now, looking around and seeing a community that's flourishing, a community that is safe, a community where little kids are building snowmen out in front if it's snowing or if it's summertime. You know, they're outside playing. Community where people can just be.
Anyone could probably be here and do this. It doesn't have to just be R.A.G.E Chicago that's here to do this. We're just here because we look at what's going on in the community and what happens in the news. And we say, you know what? Kids, youth, families, communities can do better. And this neighborhood doesn't need much. It just sort of needs a step. You know, right? Everyone here is willing to do it. They just need a little bit of a boost. And that's pretty much all we're going to do, is provide the step.
Social change really could start with one person. It could start with someone who has a passion to see something different.
The people here are phenomenal. When we get together, and it doesn't take much, you can drop your hat and we'll all get together and have the kids outside and, you know, and just enjoy each other's company, and all you will hear laughter out here. It's just, to me, it's the hidden resource that the community of Chicago doesn't get. You know, there's a small percentage of people who are creating Englewood's image, and you know, the vast majority of the people here are very good, hard-working people.
If you really want to be loved, if you really want to experience like a neighborhood, if you want to experience good laughter and sports and that real sense of being a person, you come to the hood. You know what I mean? It really is real. It's real as hell here.
The people who live in this area are fierce about this community. They love this community and take issue with its portrayal of crime and blight, and you know, it's just misrepresentation in terms of who these people are. So we understand that, and you know, once you live in an area, you kind of take pride and ownership, and we're doing that.
We out here, and everyone in Englewood is not a maniac, is not a murderer or criminal. It's a lot of people just like myself who's out here working hard every day and who loves his and her neighborhood. So it's a lot of people like me, a lot of people.